So with the 5th anniversary finally making its arrival for the global side of Langrisser, Apotheosis finally makes his debut. Gotta say, his design is looking fire. This guy is all about laying down havoc and corrupting his enemies with his talent debuff. Definitely much better at being the stronger attacker compared to Wetham, even capable of one-shotting Lightbringer, just cause he gives himself so much raw stats and is able to survive a lot more stuff. So if you guys want to know what his best builds are and what he can do, let's go and check him out. His talent lets him ignore class disadvantage and attack is increased. After taking action, he restores his HP and adds part of his attack to one other stat at random, which cannot be dispelled. After dealing damage to an enemy, he has a chance to inflict Nightmare or Demoniac. Nightmare makes it so that they lose control for one turn, but in regular content, its damage lowered by 30%. Demoniac turns that enemy into a demon for one turn. So if you want to actually see some good results from him, you definitely want him at 6 stars, cause that will guarantee his talent debuff, while giving him so much more value. 5 star makes him good enough. If you guys don't know what the Nightmare actually does, basically it turns that enemy into AI control, where the game plays for you. But it also has another effect where it makes that character move last, since they, well, lost control of them. I like it quite a bit. It'll be annoying for sure, but you can counter it with healers. But Demoniac though, I hate that effect so much. It turns him into a demon, which at first glance sounds weird, but his AoEs will do much more damage to those class type. And his 3C makes this AoE turn any enemy who are a demon get the Nightmare effect. But the main reason why I hate it is cause he only has 2 AoEs that has poor range. But his unique one makes up for it with its damage potential. We have lots of holy units running around, yeah, but my main point is his gimmick. He can't really take advantage of the demon bonus most of the time, cause 100% of the time, you will be running his 3C, and his 3C is his best approach option, which gives him a lot more benefit as well. I think it's more easier if I show it to you guys in the showcase, so let's wait until then. But for right now, I hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to say. His best class is his Flyer, since he can move around pretty easily. That can equip stuff like Ragnarok and Last Rites. But mainly, you're going to be doing it for the free movement. In his Demon, it makes him a little bit more bulky with limited mobility, even with the 5 initial movement. But if you do use the Steel Winged Warrior with him, then he practically gets Terrain Master. Also in PvP, you'll be encouraged to use Balance Blade for his AoE, while being able to equip one of the best armor in the game and use Tear. In Demon for PvP, I'd say watch out if the opponent has their Apotheosis, otherwise you'll get straight up countered. And you're really going to want to ban characters like Resentio and Liana, since you're mainly going to be doing it to disorientate the enemy. To be honest, both classes are not bad, even while having amazing heart bond effects. In his Demon, just make sure to use the Steel Winged Warrior if there are maps that are hard to move around in. In PvP, I recommend using Flower since you can run around some specific maps much more better. For the class Mastery Stones, you want HP, attack, and defense, but you can do skill if you just want more damage. So do skill instead of defense. Same thing with the accessory, HP, attack, and skill. He can also be pretty bulky too, so if you like that, then do defense instead of skill, while keeping skill for the weapon, if you still want a little bit more damage potential. Arena Stones, also the same thing. An offensive set will look like what I have on, or if you want a little bulkiness with damage in there, then HP, attack, defense, crit up, and crit damage up. Surprisingly, his soldier choices are very limited. The Werewolf is his best soldiers that can sustain very well. Then the Steel Winged Warrior for maps that flyers dominate in, since they can easily move around all the time. So yeah, really only 2 soldiers that are really the best for him. For his best weapon, in his Flyer, Ragnarok is obvious. Routing Light as a second best, it does more damage for each block move, up to 10%, and disables Guard when moving 3 or more blocks. Throne Guardian is another one that gives more HP. Then your third best option would be to use Last Justice to lower attack and int before battle, or Peacemaker to disable passive skills. Scarlet Reaper can be fine, but that does require you to always bring his AoE, if that's the case for PvP. And same thing goes for the Balance Blade for his Demon class. Having that would be one of the main reasons why I see people use Demon Apotheosis, but if you're really dead set on using him as a demon, then I would go with Crystal Stinger for some crits and defense ignore. Just make sure that skill is high. Bone Crusher for the armor or defense drop, or Mimir, which is good for sustain, since if an ally dies or if he kills an enemy, then he's able to heal and get a damage increase. Those 3 are the best for single target, so if you don't have any of them, then anything to increase his attack is fine. I didn't mention Bloodsword or Demon Slayer. It's just because both of them require some RNG, like one of them is a 50% chance to activate, and the other one requires you to crit. And since his AoE has a really horrible range, it's just something I do not recommend. If you don't have Balance Blade, then you can't really make him efficient enough to be disorientating. For the armor, in his flyer class, it'll be Last Rites, then usually it'll be Azure Legend as your second best thing, then Demon Lizard Skin as your third best choice. If you have him in his Demon class, then the best 3 armor in the game, but Forbidden Battle armor is one that everyone wants. With the helmet, in his flyer class, you can use the flower which gives him extra healing if his HP is below 50%, or you can do King's Crown to give an ally a damage boost. Some bulky options are the Feather Crown, which boosts his defense and magic defense when fighting an enemy that has less HP, the Snow Beanie as the third best option to increase defense if forced into battle, then Jormungandr Eye to lower 1 enemy damage if within 2 blocks. In his Demon class, you will want Tyr for more damage potential, or Aeneas for more defensive stats. Now with the accessory, the Judge Talisman will help him deal significant damage to holy units, especially combine that with his AoE. Some other stuff that will help him do more damage are Prisoner's Gear or Solare's Emblem. For something bulky, you can do Overlords for stats immunity, Swordsmith Medal for fixed damage immunity and silence, or Ring of Shinguard for the defense. You can also do the same for his demon form, but one thing you can also use is the Divine Boots, though he'll have 6 initial mobility. But it does only increase his defense though, and sadly, you are not able to use the Apex Boots on him. So if you're thinking about using this with Balance Blade, then don't expect Apotheosis to effectively have any killing power. Instead, you want to use him just for his talent debuff to disorientate the opponent in PvP. So if that's the case, like I said before, just make sure you ban one of those annoying healers like Liana and Rosentio. As for his enchants, Breeze or Full Moon for balanced stats. Also, the kind of enchants that you should be looking for will be attack, HP, and defense. But for the accessory, you can do skill instead of defense. The defense part is just for survivability, like extra survivability, so you can also have that for the skill if you really care about that. But if you do get HP and attack, then that's really what you should settle with. Having all 3 of the right substats can require a lot of investments. So that's why having HP and attack or HP and int is usually all you really need for the most part for a lot of characters. Alright, so hopefully all of that helped you guys to build your Apotheosis. So let's begin the first Awakening stage to anyone that are having trouble with it. Alright, so for this one you can be up against Werner, Emperor Lobina, and then Matthew. Alright, so for the skills that you want to bring, I really do recommend bringing Attack Break to lower their, well, attack. Air Slash, really amazing to attack from 2 blocks. And for the last best thing, Roar to lower their attack, but you can also use his AoE for a little damage. But you're also having that chance to lower the enemy's damage by 30% because of his talent. And this thing also reduces defense too. I think this is something that could really help you out to deal with the first enemy. So yeah, you can do Air Slash with the AoE or do Air Slash and Roar. With the soldier choices, the Werewolf, they have really good sustain power, or do Stone Winged Warrior. Vampire Bats are also not bad as well for the healing. You can also use these two to stay in the air all the way further in the map. So like if you really need to like turn stall. You can't really like technically cheese it because the last 2 enemies have a skill that attacks from 2 blocks. Now to deal with Werner, I'd really recommend just going up to him and try to damage him as much as you can. Because the thing about Werner is that his talent has him use 2 different stance. Strike stance and Repose stance. Repose stance makes him quite defensive, and that can be pretty scary because he can also counterattack dealing increased damage. So yeah, I highly recommend just going up to Werner, doing AoE or Air Slash him, do whatever you gotta do. Do not let Werner have that chance to set up, otherwise you could be in big trouble. So yeah, use the AoE to lower the defense while having the chance to lower his damage, or use Air Slash. Now with Emperor Lobina, just make sure you do your right spacing, stay away from within 2 blocks and also away from within 1 ring, because he has a skill that attacks from 2 blocks and an AoE that attacks within a ring span. So yeah, just Air Slash or AoE, and if you really have to, go on the defensive tile on the left or right. And to deal with Matthew, it's basically the same thing. If you have AoE or Air Slash, use it, or maybe even Roar too. Honestly, dealing with the last 2, I don't think it's like that difficult. Like I don't think they're like that threatening. Like the only one worth was like Werner, because it's either like you let him set up and he counters you for it, or go up to him and you're rewarded. Because the thing about Werner's talent is that it doesn't tell you what it is, which is intentional by the way, because in something like PvP, it makes him way too obvious. So basically you're going to be using the same strats for all the enemy. AoE, Air Slash, or maybe even Roar. And also let's say that you are struggling, Just make sure you go on the defensive tile on the left or right to deal with the last 2 enemy. And another thing you can do is turn stall so that you can get all the stats increase, including defense. And the main thing that you're going to be looking for is the defense increase and maybe even the skill increase. So yeah, you're going to be quite impressed on how much damage Apotheosis can really do. And let's say that you're in a situation where like you barely survived their attack. Once more, turn stall because he does have that healing in his talent. So yeah, for this one, I don't think a lot of you guys should struggle with. Now finally with this 3C. A 3-turn cooldown that's a transformation skill. When activating it, he gets the chaos effect. His talent debuffs cannot be dispelled. Upon entering battle, damage dealt increased by 20% and damage taken is reduced by 20%. When using Dark Tremor, which is his AoE, he automatically inflicts Nightmare on all demon enemy on the field. Or enemy. A little typo right there. He also gets a revive effect, and when he does die, he loses the chaos effect and heals 30% of his HP. After using the skill, it gets replaced with another skill and is able to act again by moving 3 blocks. His chaos effect cannot be immunized and cannot be dispelled, and buffs on him do not lose their turn duration. The other skill that replaces this is a single target. Before battle, it turns 3 of the enemy's buff into random debuffs, while also applying reverse healing for 2 turns. If this skill kills an enemy, the cooldown is reduced by 2, and either one of his talent debuffs will be applied to a random enemy, and then if he loses chaos effect, then this skill gets replaced with the at the again skill. Oh yeah, and I forgot the passive on it. When fighting holy or demon enemies, his attack is increased by 15%, and increases the chance of his unique 1C command effect from 30% to 60%. So he's going to be unleashing his full potential by giving himself so much. Even more ways to increase his damage and bulkiness, while being an at the again skill, which is always really good. Passive on his 3C is not bad. I really hate that it helps his 1C, which is an alright skill. Like if you guys want to know what I mean, I'm going to be talking about it in the showcase. But basically all you just need to know is that healers can counter his debuffs, especially the 2 annoying ones. And since this is a limited time character, he has a special 3C animation effect. So let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it doesn't do a voice line, which is really awkward. I'll probably like add like a little sound effect just so it doesn't like seem like that. But yeah, I definitely like it a lot more compared to Warhammer and Awakener. Just because it has a lot more going on, like with the effects. I think those look pretty clean. Alright, so with the way how I do second awakening stages. For those of you new around here, I don't ever show them unless they are really difficult to do, which happens rarely. Because you do get 3 other characters that you can use, and they're really all you need to get you by it. And also you get to make the right choices where the AIs would not. So yeah, with that being said, let's go right on into his showcase. Alright, so we're gonna recap for a bit. His talent. It ignores class disadvantage, attack is increased, after taking action, HP is restored and adds part of his attack to one other stat at random, which cannot be dispelled. After dealing damage to an enemy, he has a chance to inflict Nightmare or Demoniac, but at 6 stars, it's a guaranteed chance, but will be random, to which effect is applied. Nightmare makes it so that the enemy loses control for 1 turn, but in regular content, reduces the enemy's damage dealt by 30%. Demoniac turns that enemy into a demon class for 1 turn. So yeah, the attack increase, the HP restore, pretty self-explanatory. So we'll go ahead and end Apotheosis' turn. He'll do like a pop-up that shows his talent, and you can see the buff that he gets has a unique color to it, and that is unique to him. And this thing will keep on stacking and stacking and stacking up until you get 4 of them. And this is pretty much all that you can get. If you check the turn, it takes up to 4 rounds to get all of them. So you basically need like 4 turns exactly to set up, and of course the higher his star level is, the more value that you're getting from him. And I think the worst of it all is that you can get an int increase, which is really weird, but I guess it does count as being part of his stat, but it's still weird that he gets it nonetheless. And then after that 4 rounds, when he takes action, he no longer gets the pop-up animation, which means he capped out. If we take a look at his talent again, whenever he does damage, he has a chance to inflict Nightmare or Demoniac. So if I go ahead and attack Apotheosis with AoE, or like any kind of attack, yeah, so he doesn't get it, which is, yeah, really luck dependent. So all this is like really heavy on RNG. So if not at 6 stars, you are not able to get that guaranteed chance. But it's still random to either inflict Nightmare or Demoniac. Let me try again and see if we can get it this time. Oh, there we go. Right there. That assassin got turned into a demon. If you go ahead and check its buff, right there, a unique debuff. Let's see if I can get lucky with getting Nightmare. Oh, and the thing about Nightmare is that in regular, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to use clock right here, but yeah, the thing about Nightmare is that in regular content, it doesn't tell you exactly. The only way that you can tell is that if you check the debuff which then tells you damage dealt decrease. So yeah, demonic is the only one that actually really tells you. But in PvP, that's where things get more interesting. Nightmare makes you lose control of the character for 1 turn, but you can also get that effect by applying just straight up the 3C effect. So I'll definitely show this off again in a bit, like very soon, but it's just going to be much more easy if I do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and AoE, and I'll automatically apply Nightmare to demon units. So Epsilon got it, Neo Zeta got it, check out the debuff, Nightmare right there. Now I'll show you guys properly in a bit, but to some of you guys who are confused. Normally under his 3C effect, his talent debuffs cannot be dispelled, but that's because he didn't actually apply it using his talent. He applied it technically from his 3C effect. He has to be the one actively attacking to see it can't be dispelled. So yeah, Kaguya is going to be attacking, and yeah, so she should be dispelling it, yeah, right there. So now that means Epsilon and Neo Zeta can take back control. But how does that look on my side though? Lose control cannot be dispelled. I'm trying to like click on Licorice. I can clearly use her, but I just can't because I lost control of her. So yeah, that's basically what it would look like on your side. And some of the stuff can be dispelled. Like right there, my Apotheosis lost Demoniac. Like earlier how you saw the other character lost the Nightmare effect. And I can take back control of Licorice. So yeah, I used Liana 3C for the all debuff immunity. And so Liana got one on herself. So I'm gonna see if I get lucky enough to block it. There we go, invulnerable. And on Licorice, nothing happened. But yeah, you guys clearly saw that Liana was supposed to get Demoniac, but she was able to block it off. And then with Rosencio, well, she's Rosencio, one of the most broken healers in the game. She will just straight up literally block all his debuffs. So yeah, the enemy Apotheosis goes ahead and do his thing, losing stacks of Rosencio's thing, but no talent debuff. And as you guys should know, when using AoE under his 3C effect, automatically gets Nightmare. Plus with the addition of if he attacks, he can apply either or. So yeah, literally the same issue with Wetham. Okay, so you saw all that, but what is Nightmare actually doing to you? What does losing control of the character actually mean? Well, yeah, so I couldn't do anything. The game literally just played for me. Liana just went ahead and did her own thing. You're supposed to be a healer, Liana, not a damage dealer. So yeah, she was able to dispel some stuff, but Licorice, yeah, I still can't use Licorice. But thanks to Liana acting first right away, I'm able to use Neo Zeta and Epsilon. Hey guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and or I'll jug knife you guys. You hear that, guys? Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more. Otherwise, we'll jug knife you. Hey, he said it, not me. I don't make the rules. I'm not the one threatening. I tell you guys, feel free to like, you know, of your own choice. I'm not the one threatening you. So you're still gonna click that like button? Have you guys seen that? I know at least some of you guys have seen that. It's a little thing around the community. Just like this sticker emote thing. I'll show it to you guys on the screen. Okay, so end Neo Zeta this turn, and Licorice does her own thing. Like she could have faction buff, she could have used AoE, but no. They're always gonna be using the single target attack. A normal attack. No matter what. They'll move on their own and they'll just do a normal attack. That's all they're gonna be doing when you lose control of them. Yeah, don't forget to keep on playing this game. Awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for the 2 people helping me. Really appreciate the help. And some of these videos aren't really possible without them. So I can't thank them enough for that. Because in order for me to actually like show some of the characters' aspects, I also gotta do PvP as well. So yeah, once again, huge thank you to them. Alright, so now let's return. And if we take a look at the skills, this 1C is a command effect. All enemies within 3 blocks has a 30% chance to be inflicted with Demoniac after taking action. So yeah, that chance is pretty low. And if we check out the enemies, it'll actually show it. Just earlier this enemy received it, but basically it's like the same animation to if you were afflicted just by attacking them. Now I don't think we get it. Oh, right there. See? Now if he had his 3C, it would be a 60% chance. But I hate it so much because 1, it is RNG based like his talent, and healers can counter it by dispelling it. It can be blocked off by Elma, Liana's 3C, and of course, Rosencio. So if we go ahead and take a look at his unique AoE, which is really good, it has a 3-turn cooldown that reaches 2 blocks around him, which does a lot of damage. It does more damage to demons and holy units that also reduces their defense for 2 turns. So I know you guys saw it earlier, but if we go ahead and actually like take a look at it. So yeah, the Sky Archer on the left took like what, 11k? But the Sky Archer on the bottom took like 15k, and that's because it got turned into a demon, barely surviving with 420 HP. If you check the debuffs, there's a defense drop. Pretty nice. So yeah, the range really sucks, I know, but then you are doing tons of damage with it. But in this demon class, you can put on a balance blade and it'll be a 3 block range. And then if we finally take a look at the 3C to see what it actually does, a 3-turn cooldown. When using this, he gets the Chaos status. His talent debuffs cannot be dispelled, damage is increased by 20%, and damage taken is reduced by 20%. When using his unique AoE, he automatically inflicts Nightmare on all demon enemies. That has a revive effect. So when he does revive, he will lose the Chaos status and restore 30% of his HP. After using the skill, it changes into another one and can move 3 blocks to attack. Of course, the Chaos status cannot be dispelled, ignores immunity, and buffs on him do not lose their turn duration. So if we go ahead and activate this, it is one of my favorite yet. There's a lot more detail going on and the effects look so nice. Just take a look. Look at that, doesn't that look nice? Okay, so when we go take a look at Apotheosis now, you can see the Chaos effect, you can see the revive, what Chaos does, and his sprite changes too, which looks pretty cool. I'm not really sure on how that would look on his Echo of Light, but if it actually like does change it, that'd be pretty sick. That'd be like some nice detail right there. And then if we take a look at his 3C now, still 3-turn cooldown, the passive on it, when fighting demon or holy units, his attack increases by 15%. His 1C command effect gets increased to 60% chance. Yeah, I still don't really like it. This thing is a single target, before battle, converts 3 enemy buffs into random debuffs. And they also receive reverse healing, where damage received is turned into damage equal to 50% of the healing amount that lasts for 2 turns, which cannot be dispelled. When killing an enemy, the skill cooldown is reduced by 2, and Nightmare or Demoniac is inflicted on 1 random enemy on the field. And so when he loses the Chaos effect, the skill gets changed into the first part of it. So if we use the AoE under his 3C effect, you're gonna see that even if you don't damage the enemy, you can still inflict Nightmare on them, or regular content, damage reduce. Check the Sky Archer, there we go. Now there aren't really like a lot of demon enemies out there, like the only one who are really common are Neo Zerida and Epsilon, so it's really gonna be working mainly on them. Regular content doesn't really matter too much, like most time not gonna be even running an AoE skill, so you're definitely gonna be using Air Slash on them. And so if we actually can take a look at the 3C what it does, so yeah, I was hoping that he would not one-shot right there. But yeah, now if we take a look at the Aniki right now, the 3 buffs that he got would now turn into random debuffs. And he also got the reverse healing. Now the conversion is pretty good, yeah. But let's say if like you're unlucky with Leanna's 3C and Elma, heck even Vizencio, yeah, you're not going to be seeing those debuffs because it will get blocked out. Oh yeah, and also one thing I forgot to mention is that Demonic cannot be dispelled now. And you also see that his command effect got changed from 30 to 60 right there too. Well, if we actually do kill an enemy with it, thank goodness it was on Aniki. I'm not sure if you can get unlucky to the point where those effects can get applied to an enemy that has like Demoniac or Nightmare. But yeah, when I killed a Sky Archer, the Aniki got affected by it, so he got Demoniac and the damage dealt reduction, both affected at the same time. Which is kind of weird that I'm seeing that right now, because I thought it was either Nightmare or Demoniac, but both effects got applied at the same time. Which is pretty interesting, because that's not what I've been seeing when I was testing it earlier. I don't know, maybe I might have forgotten about it, but I thought it was just like either one or the other. But you do see the skill cooldown, just need to wait 1 turn before you can use it again. And a friendly reminder, his talent debuffs can only be dispelled if he is applying it through his talent condition. So you saw Apotheosis attack the Aniki, and by taking a look at the debuffs, the damage dealt cannot be dispelled. And my Apotheosis has a 50% chance to apply it. So we got that RNG right there, and earlier Aniki still had Demoniac from the command effects, so that is able to be dispellable. But by using the AoE, the Sky Archer who got turned into Demon, this thing damage dealt reduction is able to be dispelled. So if you guys still don't know what's going on around here, only under Apotheosis 3C effect, whenever he applies his talent debuff through the condition of his talent, those only cannot be dispelled. But the other ways to get the debuff, like by applying it through his command effect and automatically applying it through his 2C, those are able to be dispelled, which I kinda don't really know how I really feel about it. Well, we are gonna see what it looks like when Apotheosis does die. Been having a rough time right now, but let's hope we get lucky enough to see it. So we did use 3C, and okay, he survives that. Okay, so what happens next? AoE? Hold up. I have to take action. Okay, yeah, okay, so right now his 3C is named Judgment of the Abyss, which is a single target, right? So if we go ahead and take action, he should do like a sting. Does it? Oh, there we go. Come on. Pause it. Come on. Yes, okay, so here it is. So yeah, he basically just heals 30% of his HP, and he loses the Chaos effect, and his 3C got changed into the first part of it, the At Again skill. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I had to reset, cause yeah, Apotheosis was just on his own, and he just couldn't do it. But yeah, so I brought the whole squad with me this time, because I want to show off what happens when he uses 3C again, the first part of it, when he does lose his Chaos effect. So just earlier, you guys saw him die, and got the revive. And so, what happens if he uses 3C again? What happens? Well, he does get the Chaos effect again, and he gets the revive effect still. So yeah, that is really good. Yeah, so Neo Zelda definitely still counters this. So if you can really make him survive for 3 more turns after losing the Chaos effect, then he just gets his revive effect again. This is pretty insane to look at. So Apotheosis just dies again, and so if he gets to use it again for the 3rd time, he still gets the same effect. So there's a revive, there's his Chaos effect. First he has to go through his stage mechanic thing. Take a look at it once more, and there's all of it again. He can keep on doing this indefinitely, as long as he's able to wait it out, which in something like in PvP, it gets harder and harder to do that. But in regular content though, it won't be that hard to do at all. So, overall, since he is an anniversary character and all, of course he's gonna be good. For now, that is. He's just a strong character that you can have, who is much more better than Wetham when it comes to damage, survival, and is more adaptable in longer fights. He's still going to be very strong, even without his 3C, if you're new, since he's just an attacker, a self-sufficient one. It's just with it, he's more effective. And because he's just an attacker, if you guys don't have Awakener, I would suggest to get her more than anyone else, since she does way more than that. She's a time faction buffer with more utility. So now would be the best time to summon for her, and so you can pair her up with someone like Jintoki and even Lina, if you have them. And will be your only time faction buffer for now, because we won't have one until they decide to do one. Like the ones that we had previously, may not ever come back, but who knows. They haven't been doing that in a very long time. But that is as long as you get her 3C though. That's when she unlocks the faction buff. So even if you can't get it, I would still pick her up, because Awakener only shows up on special occasions, like with this one during the anniversary. But back to Apotheosis. If you're looking for a strong attacker, then Apotheosis can be yours for a good long while. His talent debuffs are amazing, well, one of them for the most part, making the opponent lose control of their characters and they don't get to use the skills when they attack you, or rather turning them into a demon, so on the next turn he does more damage to them, or if paired up with the holy unit, they can follow up to deal massive damage. The only part that sucks is that it's reliant on RNG, and just remember that both of these debuffs can be blocked out and even dispelled, but that part doesn't matter if he's under his 3C effect, but it can still be blocked out though. He also has a huge attack and damage boost, as well as being able to heal himself over time, which makes him more sustainable in longer fights. His 1C, I really don't like it, but I can see the picture with it. He's always going to be attacking very close, but it does rely on luck, even if the effect gets doubled from his 3C, which is going to be useless anyways when you have to deal with someone like Rosentio. I really like his unique AoE, even if it does have poor range. Its high damage value makes up for it. My main gripe about Apotheosis is that I kinda wish that he had another AoE skill that's kinda somewhat reliable, so that he can take more advantage of his Holy and Demon damage bonus. Even though he does have 2 AoEs, you can't really technically do that, cause you need his 3C, since he gives himself so much. That's also an At Again skill. So it's whatever 1C that you give him, his unique AoE or air slash, then his 3C. That's my whole negative take about him, but other than that, I can definitely say that he's worth the summon, since he's a very self-sufficient attacker, and that's really all he is. There we have it. That was Apotheosis Showcase. He's gonna be quite good for both PvP and PvE, but if there's any limited time characters that you want, it's gonna be Awakener if you don't have her. She has more value to offer for herself and her team. Apotheosis is literally Wetham, but better, even having the same playstyle as him, who has an easier time to kill opponents like Lightbringer, and even one-shotting her. So it's safe to say that he can be skipped, cause there are many characters who can do that, but with more utility, like Grancio. He's just a very good attacker, a very self-sufficient one, with a gimmick that can be hard to utilize cause healers can counter it. He does pair well with any holy unit since he can turn enemies into demon, then those holy units can follow up to deal tons of damage. But that's really all I got for you guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about Apotheosis or if there was anything that I may have missed. If you guys are summoning for Apotheosis, then I wish you guys the best. And so, yeah. Thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.